Calgary Housing is finally starting to see some price reductions across the city. I would imagine this is pretty good news for a lot of you buyers out there, so let's start to figure out where these price reductions are coming from and how much prices are decreasing. Hi, my name is Adam Fyfe, your Calgary real estate agent. If you're looking at getting into the market, it is very important that you do the research well in advance. Even if you're looking at getting into the market of Q2 next year, now is a good time to start figuring out a game plan and which areas you want to concentrate on, how much the prices were this year, and kind of play out a potential game plan for next year. So go ahead, book a call. The Zoom link is in the description. So let's figure out what the Calgary Real Estate Board has written about this market. Calgary home sales at record highs in September, yet supply remains a challenge. Just because there's a lot of sales, it doesn't mean that there's a lot of new listings, causing the inventory to stay relatively low. Sales reached another record high in September with 2,441 sales. Despite the year-over-year gains reported over the past 4 months, year-to-date sales are nearly 12% lower than last year's levels. So to this point, last year, there was 2,867 more sales. So just because we have less sales, our pricing is increased because there's not enough supply in the market. There's not enough new listings. Not as many people are selling their house, causing more demand in the market, causing multiple offer situations, causing pricing to increase. So pause the video if you want to read the middle, but I'm going to skip down to the bottom for time's sake. Supply has been a challenge in our market as strong interprovincial migration has elevated housing demand despite higher lending rates. While new listings are improving, it has not been enough to take us out of a seller's market condition. Now, I would argue that over the winter months, we're still going to stay in the seller's market going right into next year. Unless we get a huge influx of new listings, which I don't think is going to happen, I would argue that the seller's market is going to stay persistent. Yes, sales will probably drop and inventory will probably drop with it. I just don't see a dramatic shift going into a buyer's market territory. In September, the unadjusted residential benchmark price was $570,000, similar to last month and nearly 9% higher than last year. So if you actually look at that 9%, that's an increase of about $43,000 in 1 year. Pretty wild stuff. So when we go back to this chart here, I do like to touch on it. It's visually pleasing. The red bar is the price point. Now you can see that there was a very small decline. I would say it's more of a stabilization than a decline. I mean, we only dropped by like a few $100s, which is nothing in real estate. You can see that the inventory has stayed relatively flat going all the way back to March. You can see that the sales increased up to June highs, but then they've dropped down. July, August, and September have relatively stayed flat. I would hope that the sales decrease and the inventory increases, causing pricing to stabilize. The winter months are usually really good months for buyers and investors to pick up new product. It is frustrating to move into product or into new houses in the winter months, but the deals can be had, especially when you're looking at older product that's been on the market for a little bit longer than usual. So when we touch on that year-to-date sales at the beginning of the written description, you can see that this year is very similar to 2021. You can see we're fairly neck and neck. If you actually look at the blue bars, you can see that we've actually decreased in detached sales and increased greatly in apartment sales. So even though the year-to-date sales number, the total number is the same, you can see that there's a lot more apartment sales than there were detached sales when considering 2021. Now, sales isn't the most important thing in this current topic. It's actually inventory and the lack of it. You can see that in this chart here, going all the way back to 2009, we are by far the lowest that we've been in a very long time. The closest that we've been is 2013, which was quite a hot year, where we had 4,000 homes left over at the end of the month in September, where now we're looking at over 3,200 homes. So it sounds like a lot of homes, but when you're in a city of 1.4 million people, only having 3,000 homes left over at the end of the month is not much at all. I'm actively working with buyers right now looking to get into the market, but it's very difficult to find that right product. And when that right product does come on the market, it usually has a lot of activity. Even if a product comes back on the market after it's been pending, for whatever reason it came back, there's still multiple offers on that one property. So if you are looking at getting into the market, it's very important to create a game plan and work with someone who's actually going to go above and beyond and not just set you up on automated searches, actively looking at all of the product in different areas, product that's come back on the market, stuff like that. It's a very competitive market. You need to step out and you need to look through all of the places in Calgary. So this map here just showcases each individual quadrant. We're going to start to slowly break it down. Total residential, each individual quadrant. You can see that Calgary East has increased by 20% year over year. Calgary Northeast has increased by almost 16% year over year. These are the price points of each individual quadrant, just kind of showing you if you're looking in one area over the other, the pricing difference there. So this right here is another written description by the Calgary Real Estate Board. It goes over each individual property type in its entirety. Feel free to pause the video and give this a read. If you are interested in getting into the market, again, I can't stress it enough, go ahead, book a Zoom call. It's the very first link in the description. Even if you're looking at making a move Q1, Q2, Q3 of next year, it's very important to at least set up a game plan, right? Get the introductions out of the way. Talk about what's important to you, and then figure out how you can actually go about and set yourself up for that move. Buyers, sellers, and investors. So moving along here, this is the actual breakdown for each individual property type in its entirety. This does not break it down into individual quadrants. This actually breaks it down for the entire city. Total residential is at $570,000. It's up almost $43,000 compared to last year. You can see that the detached is $696, up almost $69,000. Semi-detached $621. You can see it's up almost 59. Rows almost at 420 now. It's up 57. And apartment it's 312, up almost 35. So the year-over-year numbers for the entire product type is a lot. But at the beginning of the video, I talked about some of the price reductions in this actual market. So it's interesting to start breaking it down into individual quadrants, which we will get into. But before we do that, I do want to look at some of the demand in the given areas. Now, this is really important for you to realize when you're getting into the market as a buyer, as an investor, or even as a seller, how much demand is in that area. And months of supply is a perfect indicator to help paint that picture. Now, this is the total quadrant. Each individual area or community will have a little bit of a different number, but this is total. So right off the hop, you see semi-detached in the Northwest has over 3 months of supply, which is actually considered a balanced market. You would consider that to be a little bit more of a neutral playing ground. 3 months, pricing shouldn't really go up or down too much. It should stay relatively flat. So this, again, just that first step in figuring out how much demand is in that area. So with that being said, I'm going to actually switch this up next month. So I do apologize because I actually don't like the flow of this currently the way that I have set up, but I'm just going to keep going with it. One of the things that I find super unique and very interesting is if you are a homeowner or you're an investor that have product in Calgary and you want to know what the heck is going on in this market and how much your home is actually worth, I am a partner in an AI software that actually gives you instant home evaluations. This is a software that only me has access to the information. You're not going to get blasted off to a team. You're not going to get a million people calling you. But if you are curious about what your home value is today, you put in your contact information. Yes, of course I'm going to call you. I'm going to say hi. I'm going to say thank you for using the system. If you are curious of wanting to know what your home value is every 30 days, I can set you up on that. If you're just curious on what it is now and you're not looking to sell, that's totally fine too. My whole goal here is to try to provide you with A+ service as a realtor here in Calgary. Some people get nervous giving their contact information. I understand that. I promise I'm pretty easy to talk to, and I'm not going to bombard you with information. If you're looking for additional information, great. If not, don't stress it. So let's end it off with this. This is the microeconomic breakdown for the entire city, each individual property type and each individual quadrant. Now, I'm not going to break it down too much because that's what the individual property type videos are for in the coming weeks and days, but I will reveal this now. These are the month-over-month increases and decreases for each individual property type. You can see that there are a few reds in here. There's 6 to be exact, a lot more than last month where there was only 2. You can see that single-family homes in Calgary West saw a almost $25,000 decrease from last month. I actually searched up on the MLS to see what the heck's going on in that quadrant, and there was actually quite a few buyer's agents being aggressive and actually offering lower than the original list price. So good for them. I mean, that's awesome to see. There is definitely the ability to get deals out there. Now, again, this property type is $877,000. So it's definitely the upper echelon in Calgary. Now, if we go all the way down to semi-detached, you can see that there's actually 4 in the semi-detached sector, with the, again, Calgary West seeing the biggest decrease from month over month. So yes, they are the most expensive. They are $741, but they are seeing the biggest fluctuations in price point. Also interesting in the semi-detached, you can see that they only had about 30 and 60% sales per listing ratio. So again, these numbers are quite small, so the percentages fluctuate a lot. And then going down the list here, there's a couple things that I'm going to highlight in the individual property type videos. So if you're curious about that and you want to know what's going on for your personal situation, utilize this as a reference and book a call with me. I promise I'm pretty easy to talk to. I've talked to many different people on a weekly basis, pointing them in the right direction. I told a lot of people not to buy. I've told a lot of people not to sell. I feel like I'm very realistic in my approach and how to actually develop client relationships. So if you're interested in that, you can always call or text me, book a Zoom call, but I think that's it for now. Your feedback is very important. I really do appreciate all your feedback. You criticize my channel, tell me what to do, what not to do, what you like, what you don't like, and I look forward to reading those stuff. So continue to comment, rip it apart if you want, let me know what I've done good, let me know what I've done not, and we'll go from there. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time and watching this. Make sure to like the video. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.